So let's go ahead and get this show on the road as well. In 3, 2, 1, go. So this is Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Super Nintendo. This game, as far as a speedrun, recently just took off in popularity. No wrinkly skip. I'm bad. With wrinkly skip is a trick where you can actually skip that cutscene by I forget what input it actually is to do it. I think it's just some combination of left and Y. So this is going to be this is a thing. Alright, so the world record was actually recently improved in this game. I believe Sui Mind got improved his world record just recently, a couple of days ago. He has the record of any percent for DKC3 with a time of 47:12. And some other runners include Void, Zelna, Blunt Bunny. There's a few of them out there. Whoops. Man, this 103 muscle memory is strong. A little bit. So in the first two worlds, all of the stages here have developer-intended warps. And we're going to be taking them in every stage because it saves a lot of time. Some of them even save time in other categories. But I definitely do want to shout out some of the other runners as well, such as Supreme, Conditioner, Undeniable, known in the community as Stu. They run a lot of this game, both any percent and 103%. So unfortunately, in the first two worlds, there's not really much going on. Just a bunch of warps. Oh, and a couple boss fights. One of which is a gimme, which is this one, and one of which is actually difficult. The only concern about this fight is you need to make sure that you don't throw the bug into Belcha's mouth. Yes, Belcha is this barrel's name. You need to make sure that you don't actually deal damage to Belcha on the same frame that he lands on the ground, or his teeth will pop out. Yes, that's a thing. And you'll softlock the fight and need to start over. So, World 2, Kremwood Forest, more warping. I'm also very sad that no one will get to see Krematoa. Because Krematoa is where the real excitement is, but that's another category. Yay, I dodged the coin of shame! There's an invisible bear coin right in the middle of that passageway to the warp barrel, and it's the coin of shame if you collect it. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about beating Brash's time in any percent. That's actually a big concern of the 103% run, is beating Brash's time. So Sven, because we're way ahead of schedule, oh, that was a map error. Because we're way ahead of schedule, I have some glitches I can show afterward, or I can Or I can do, like, the Krematoa end of water percent if we need to fill 20 minutes, because the incentive wasn't met. Thankfully, Ellie skip... Oh, wow, I actually hit both. That's really weird. Yeah, Ellie skip, not a thing at any percent. Alright. So, this is the first real reset point of the any percent speedrun. Eric the Spider, he's more colloquially known as Reset Spider, because this guy is a jerk. There's a whole bunch of animation that we're going to skip because we're going to use team throws to get up to the top of the ledge where the barrels spawn. And I threw way too early on the last hit, so now his movement is going to be all cattywampus. Now I think he's going to go to the right, so I'm going to get caught in the center like that. Yeah, I'm just throwing way too early. At least you got to see why that guy is called Reset Spider. So, unfortunately, that was not a very good fight. So, Eric is going to give us a patch, and we're going to take this patch back to Funky, which is exactly what he needs to get us built an upgraded boat that will take us to other worlds of the game. So I would say overall that was probably a 20-second loss from basically the spider being a jerk. Now this next world we're going to be starting Mechanos. This is World 4 if you're playing the game casually, but you do it first before you do before your World 3 in the actual speedrun, because mostly the boss. Now, starting in this world, there are no more warp barrels, so this is where all the categories are going to converge, except for water percent, but that's another category for another marathon. So one reason why some people don't like this game is the gimmicks. Every level, or almost every level, has... Wrong category. Almost every level in this game has a gimmick that is used once and only once. 103 muscle memory too strong. Another big theme of Donkey Kong Country 3 is damage boosting. We're going to be using damage boosts in a lot of levels to cut out chunks of the level. Hopefully I get the full version of this skip. Great. Cool. We got the full version. So coming up here is the first of 2 auto-scrollers in a row. I'm not quite sure why the developers decided to put 2 auto-scrollers in a row like this. At least one of the auto-scrollers is fast-paced. Okay, remember, right, this is any percent. Don't go in the bonus. Don't go in the bonus. And it's not just for this game, but for the DKC series in general. You don't want to be running multiple categories of this game at once because of the conflicting muscle memory. Aw, I almost made a brush with death. Alright, so that's actually fine, because it will give us Kitty in the lead. which, although, if this was a personal best attempt, I would not do this trick, but because this is a marathon, I want to show off the coolest trick in 103%. This is actually 1 second slower for any percent, but because it's a marathon, I want to show this. So that's called Zip Your Tree. That's a trick that saves about 12 seconds in 103%. We timed this for any percent, and it is unfortunately 1 second slower. Basically what that does is it just lets you break the auto-scrolling of the level and get to some of the bonus stages faster. Also, Donkey Kong Country 3 is a game where you can save the frames and the animals, because every time you kill one of the rats in this level, it wastes 2 frames of lag. So the ones that are going to be like easy to avoid. Some of them are really difficult to avoid, but most of them you can usually get out of the way of. Like that guy you can't really avoid, but this one you can. Also, get your Resident Sleepers ready for Ripsaw Resident Sleeper. Alright, that wasn't too bad. So now that we're out of Auto-Scroller Alley, we can go to Blazing Bazookas, which is going to have some fun platforming. In a record attempt, you would actually do this entire level as Solo Dixie, because it saves about 5 seconds in animations. Because to prevent some glitches that were in DKC2, the way Rare patched them was a lot of barrels in the game will not fire until after both Kongs have been loaded into them. So if you bring one Kong into this level, it saves a lot of animation time. Oops. So that's one of the big reasons why in a PB pace run you would only enter one Kong, and I should not have gone in that barrel. But we are entering this level with 2 Kongs and keeping both specifically for marathon safety. Additionally, one big reason why we do it is because the midway point in this level is out of our way. So there's no way we're going to hit the midway point. And if you have one Kong and you get hit, you're dead. Okay, I did not get rope glitch either. If you try to grab a rope and you collect one of the bananas on the same frame you grab the rope, Dixie will get stuck there, and the only way to get out of it is to take a hit. So Low-G Labyrinth, or as some players call this, Slow-G. This level's gimmick is that the Kremlings have somehow reduced the force of gravity in this maze, which not only does it make you jump high, but it also makes you run at about half speed, so any mistake that you make in this level will cost you double the amount of time. So it's really important to have good movement in this level. Bring not to damage boost off of those guys. I really shouldn't have skipped midway there. Depending on the outcome of a certain trick coming up here, I might not go for Vine Clip. If anybody remembers Vine Clip from DKC2, there's a trick in this game that's about as precise. Alright, I got the first tap. I got the easier one. So coming up here, This is Vine Clip. I got it! Nice! There's not a lot of space to fit in between those two red bees. It's about as much space as you get for the actual Vine Clip trick. And we're not gonna hit the Supreme Bee tonight. The Supreme Bee is the last bee in that row of 3 where the ground starts ascending. It was because that bee was the source of his only mistake in a GDQ run. Alright, now this boss is really interesting, and this is... And I'm about to do a trick that can only be done on the US version. If you're going for a record attempt, you will actually want to run on J for reasons that I will explain when we get to World 5. But I'm about to do a trick on this boss that's exclusive to the US version. I was actually supposed to go through a few more cycles than that, but what you can do there with team throwing there is you can actually team throw infinitely in midair. I don't know why I'm struggling so much with this boss fight. This is gonna be pretty bad. Unless I get 3 hits, which... These diagonals! I don't understand! Like, I need to clean this controller, because I'm registering diagonals when I don't want to. This is such a slow fight. Ugh. Really? I am so terrible at this boss fight tonight. I'm gonna lose a billion seconds. I'm so sorry I didn't get to show that strat off. That strat's really cool. Basically, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to team throw in midair above Chaos's head, and you can skip cycles that way. I have absolutely no idea what is up with this controller. I really need to look into either cleaning this or getting another controller. Alright, so we're coming into World 4, Cotton Top Cove. This is the water world. There are a couple underwater stages in this game, and then there's going to be one later on. If you're used to DKC2's water physics, the water physics in DKC3 are much floatier. So you'll need to make use of up and down on your D-pad as well when you're swimming, so that you can get the correct amount of height per B button press. You can slip under all of those bazes that are either going for or against you. It's been so long since I've actually done this with the route, so I'm actually going to go into this bonus and then get hit, because I actually do not remember how to do this with On Guard, since I'm so used to 103% that I actually haven't done this as the Kongs in a while. So overall, it's probably a few seconds slower to get On Guard here. Yes, Leben, I know this is any percent. Alright, Rocket Barrel Ride is the first of the waterfall levels. Shoutouts to Cascade Capers, this song is amazing. And I have the incorrect Kong in the lead. This song is amazing, and all 3 of the waterfall levels are really cool. They all have amazing skips. We're going to be using team throws a lot because these levels are vertically oriented. We're going to be using team throws and damage boosts to skip large chunks of these levels. I just did a damage boost there to be able to skip one of the B cycles. That is not the only damage boost we will be doing in this level. Here's the second one. See you later, Perry. Alright, excellent. Yeah, muscle memory's a little strong. So, in 4-3 Creeping Clasps, we actually need to dump Kitty here at the start of the level, because as this game was produced towards the end of the Super Nintendo's life cycle, having two Kongs on the screen for this level can really lag up the game. It's not specifically Kitty, it's not specifically Dixie, it's just having two Kongs generates a lot of lag. So we're just going to let him chill in his barrel for this level. You might even be able to notice some of the lag there as well. Alright, tracker barrels. This is another waterfall level that we'll be able to skip using team throws. Hey, more muscle memory from 103. Because that coin is on the route for 103%. See, this is the exact reason why you don't run multiple categories of this game at the same time. I'm getting that just in case. And see ya, Ellie. Those bees behind the waterfall can actually hit you at the peak of your jump out of the barrel, so you need to be careful. Alright, time to feed your fish. So the gimmick of this water level is Nibla, the fish that's been chasing you down for some other levels like Bobbing Barrel Brawl and Creeping Clasps. He's your friend in this level, kind of. Nibla will eat fish, but you have to keep him fed. As Nibla's hunger grows over time, his color will change from blue to purple to red to orange, and if Nibla turns orange, he will chomp on a Kong. The other thing that makes water levels very difficult to optimize is corners. Because if you bump a corner, you're going to lose a lot of time, and in levels like this, you can lose 5-10 seconds and not even know it. Oh, that was convenient. Now I don't have to worry about eating the last one. If this level is routed properly, Nibla is going to be red going to orange at the very end of that level. Alright, are you ready to see Ellie, everybody? Because this is the only time you're going to be able to see her, is in this boss fight. We don't get her anywhere else in any percent. Also, what is this thing? And that is why this is called Resident Sleeper Boss. And Levin, you know, optimal ski grab is just a meme. Well, Levin, we get to say it. That's never happened before. I did not get optimal ski grab. Optimal ski grab is where you collect the ski and land on the top platform. It saves frames. But now that we have the 2 skis from Worlds 3 and 4, we can take the 2 skis back to Funky, and he will give us our final boat that we will get in this category. There is a boat better than this, but it requires us to get all the DK coins, and we ain't got time for that. I wish we had time for that, but we don't. So, World 5 is where the game starts to pick up in difficulty quite a bit. We're also going to be using Dixie for the vast majority of the stage, because Dixie climbs up horizontal ropes very, very quickly. Well, she's supposed to, if you have somebody good at the game. Kappa. But if you want to see people, like, fly through this stage, you can watch some of the top runners like Mork Selna, Blunt Bunny, Sui Mind. Like, this stage looks mesmerizing if it's done right. I told you at the start that this entire speedrun would be just fighting muscle memory, because any percent. Now we have one auto-scroller here. I do like that the auto-scrollers are at least fast-paced in this game, so they're not complete snooze fests, unlike the ones in other DKC games. There's also an exploit in this level that lets you skip the sled and play this level as the Kongs. It's obviously slower, but you can do it. I might try to demonstrate it if we have time. Alright, so coming up is Barrel Drop Bounce. This is the last waterfall level, and this is the level with what we like to call the biggest spaghetti potential. This level can go really well, or it can go really poorly. We're going to be using team throws a lot in this level to skip large chunks of the level. I believe you skip about half the level with it. And we're quickly coming up on Barrel Drop Bounce or BDB Skip. This is one of the hardest tricks in the game. Hopefully I get it. Nope. Almost. I didn't have quite enough height. So we'll try her again. Okay, that's plenty of height. If you get that first try, that saves about 25 seconds over natural route. Now we're coming up on Crack Shot Croc. This is the level with the greatest potential for death. Because it's very easy to die in this level if you go off script. This level is the Web Woods of DKC3 in that fact that you use shoes, Squitter, the entire time. But at least in this level you have solid ground to stand on. The instant web platforms from DKC2 are also a little bit different in this game. Between pressing L and R, you need to wait 1 frame to get the web platform to spin. Also, shoutouts to Mr. Zara the Mant for Purple Strawberry Milkshake Factory. Picking up this barrel mostly for safety because it's very easy to die at the end of this stage. Man, I don't know what it is. I am just dropping like 60 million and 8 inputs tonight. Alright, so Lemguin Lunge is another level where there's a ton going on. And we need to get rid of Kitty as soon as possible because he generates a lot of... Well, not Kitty specifically, but having 2 Kongs generates a ton of lag in this stage. And we want to do this level as Solo Dixie. But doing this level with Solo Dixie is very dangerous because of these penguins. They have the worst hitboxes in the game. Now, their beaks look like they have pretty small hitboxes, but they're really deceiving. And because you go through most of this level as 1 Kong, death can happen very easily. You also want to avoid using Dixie's helicopter spin there, because using that with that many penguins on the screen generates a lot of lag. We do pick up the DK barrel at the end there, because it makes the end of that level a lot safer. Because we are playing on the US version, we will not be doing the bleak skip. On the Japanese version only, there is a way you can skip this boss fight. If you die and then pause the game on the exact same frame that the fade out animation begins, the game will give you credit for finishing this level. But because we are on U, we will need to fight the snowman normally, and this snowman is the first boss with significant RNG to it. Coming up in this particular hit, hopefully he's nice to me, which he is. If he's in the lower left, you can't hit him at all. And in that 5th hit, he will throw 2 quick snowballs and then retreat and then move to another location. And he can just bounce from side to side and waste all kinds of your time. And it happens on PB pace runs to pretty much everyone who runs this game, and it's very frustrating. Alright, coming up is World 6 Razor Ridge, and this is where the game starts to get really hard. There's a significant difficulty spike in World 5, and then there's another one here. But this does contain my favorite... This world, and this particular level, is my favorite level in the game to speedrun. This level wasn't very well tested by Rare, so there are a lot of unintended skips that you can do in here. And hopefully I'll be able to show off a good number of them, because they're pretty good. What bees? Just what bees? I gotta wait for this guy, unfortunately. What a great level. Rare didn't really very well test just exactly how much space there was between the wall and the bees. So you can fly past pretty much almost all of them. This one is a little bit difficult because you don't have a wall to align with, so you kind of have to eyeball it. That was alright. Like, 1 or 2 bounces there won't hurt too much. If you get hit right there, there's actually an invisible DK barrel underneath all those bananas. Now, 1 more bee skip. Cool. Want to switch to Dixie here to take advantage of her smaller hitbox for the next level. And then here is Confused Cliffs, the last auto-scroller in the game. Also, it's time for a Burn Your Rope update. And the Burn Your Rope update today is, I'm not very happy with how this run is going. Also, if I didn't remind everyone yet, this is the Speedrun Community Outreach. We are raising money to try to get some very talented speedrunners to SGDQ, and one of them is involved in the Super Mario Relay, so please get your donations in to help these runners get to SGDQ. Now, one reason I'm a bit scared to have Kitty in this level is because the 2 Kongs, their hitboxes are actually respective of the size of their sprites, so we do have to deal with Kitty's larger hitbox. And right there is where Kitty's hitbox can be an issue. Hey, I got KONG. That's what ultimately matters, right? That I got KONG. Alright, so now that we are out of Autoscroller Alley once more, we're going to be heading into Floodlit Fish, which unfortunately this level is going to be a bit difficult to see on the stream because this level is very dark. You're supposed to use these large yellow fish called Gleam and Bream to illuminate the stage so that you can see in it, but we ain't got time for that. I also love On Guard in this game. On Guard in this game is super OP compared to DKC 1 and 2. And I'm going to need to focus for a little bit here just to make sure I get all of the Lurchin cycles here. There's 7 pairs of Lurchins that we're going to need to maneuver around. And we can get through them without losing too much speed with timed releases of the down button on the D-pad. If there are 3 specific sets where if you charge into them at full speed, you will take damage. And that was pretty much perfect. Now right here, you really need to be careful to make sure you're underneath that corner, because if you turn around as On Guard and you're not underneath the reef there, the no On Guard sign will still be loaded, and you will go flying upward as the Kongs right into an urchin. And if you have 1 Kong, you're dead. So, I actually like to call this level Animal Antics, the movie, the game. Because if anyone remembers Animal Antics from DKC 2, this level is basically DKC 3's answer to it, but it's quite easier than DKC 2's version, thankfully. I would say that Pothole Panic is probably the easiest level in World 6. See ya, Ellie. The only thing that you need Ellie for is to access a bonus barrel, and because bonus barrels are slow, we're not going to use any of them. Alright. Let's see how many tries it takes to get this jump. Forget it. Forget it. Natural route, baby. Huh, nice. That's okay, though, because there's a DK barrel at the start of the next level. And we do need this to perform a damage boost in this level. There's a very, very valuable damage boost. In a record attempt, you would actually do what is called a 2-1 jump. Which is a type of double jump in this game. That it's a 2-frame trick followed by a 1-frame trick, and it cuts out roughly half the level. That particular damage boost does still cut out a significant chunk of the level. It saves about 15 seconds. But in a record attempt, you would do a 2-1. It's a major reset point for record attempts. So other than that, the level's pretty simple. Hopefully Hopefully I can get Barbos Optimal. Barbos Optimal would be a wonderful thing to show off in a marathon. But it's pretty difficult. The first phase of the Barbos fight, there's actually a little bit of RNG too. But now for the optimal strat. I think that... Oh, I went way too early, so I'm not going to be able to do it. So we'll just say I was doing a butchered version of the damage boost strat. The damage boost strat saves 4 seconds, roughly. What I'm supposed to do is I'm actually supposed to time a charge in between Barbos' shield and the top of her shell. And there's a small pixel window where you're capable of fitting in between the two, and you can use that to skip a bunch of animation from the shellfish that you're supposed to damage Barbos with, and overall it saves about 8 seconds if you can get it. Alright, so it is time for the final world of the game, Chaos Core. And when most people say they dislike this game, the gimmicks are one of the reasons why, and this world is just gimmick central. We are actually going to pick up Dixie here, because ideally you want to be Dixie Kong for this level because the ropes. Dixie moves a lot better on ropes than Kitty does. And the gimmick of this level is pretty simple. The ropes are conveyors. Which they do allow you to move faster, but you do need to watch out for bees. And doing this level with just Kitty is not at all fun. So we want to be all Dixie all the time in this level. And then there's more muscle memory I need to dodge here. Yes, if you're just playing the game casually, it's very easy to go into that bonus barrel by accident. Which is why we call it the any % bonus barrel, because if you're on autopilot, it's very easy to actually just go right into that bonus barrel. So coming up next is RNG Caverns. The reason why we call this level RNG Caverns is there's these white barrels everywhere in this level. All of the runners hate them because they are random. And sometimes you can be waiting quite a while before the barrels are facing the direction that you need to progress in the level. Oh, whoops. Jumped too early. Also, Crumple can be a bit of a pain in this level as well, since you want to do it with Dixie in the lead mostly. That was really weird. I didn't even know you could stand there. Not getting very good RNG. So there's a very interesting crash that you can do in this level as well. Right about where this DK coin is, there's a spot where you can crash the game. I cannot play this game today. There we go. It's like, if I can't get it with pause buffering, I'll go for it without pause buffering. So that was a pretty poorly executed level, and a pretty bad luck, too. Also, Raiko used Thunderbolt. It's super effective. But there was no target because this urn is already dead. So, the gimmick of this level is the lightning. The lightning tries to anticipate your movements, but generally you can manipulate it into not striking the Kongs. But if you ever get off script in this level, it's bad. And additionally, if you're playing this for a world record attempt, you're going to be doing a lot of damage boosts in this level. And that's actually next on my bucket list of things to learn for this game, is the damage boost in this level. But they're extremely dangerous because you get to do most of the level with one Kong, which is not fun. Yep, that's why. That's why you don't want to do this level with one Kong. Because things like that can happen. This level is pretty terrible. Additionally, the further you get in the stage, the better the game gets at anticipating your movement as far as where to place the lightning bolts. And towards the end of the level, the game gets very, very good at it. I'm gonna wait on that. So that was really unfortunate. So just a couple more levels to go. We're heading on to Coin Dozer Clamber, which is probably the easiest level in the endgame gauntlet. But it's still not easy. You don't want to get hit in this level ever. Because Coin Dozer is a jerk. And generally what will happen is if you get off script, one of the Coin Dozers will shove you into a pit. And you actually need to be careful of how you hover as Dixie as well, because Coin Dozer kind of has weird hit detection on him, where if you're not careful in the angle that you hover into him, if you hover into him at a very specific angle, you'll actually clip right through the upper left of his sprite. And generally what will happen if you do that is as soon as you touch ground, he will shove you out of his sprite and you'll probably be knocked into a pit. So overall, that level was pretty solid. Alright, so Poisonous Pipeline, this is the last normal stage in any percent. And you may be wondering what the gimmick is of this level. Well, your left and right directions are reversed. So you'll see a lot of people who casually play this game on emulator will remap their buttons to left and right, because they don't want to deal with the gimmick of this level. Now, in this particular stage, I'm actually going to be going in the bonus specifically to get On Guard, because On Guard makes the first half of this level significantly easier. So there is another place you can get On Guard, but that one is just easier to get. And it's not a big detour to get On Guard here. And it helps a lot with this part of the level. I am going to be getting Midway, though, because even if the controls weren't reversed, this level would be still very difficult. They stepped up the enemy count quite a bit here. And then after you lose On Guard is where the game really tests your mastery of the swim mechanics. Man, I didn't think I was mashing fast enough there. You have to be a pretty good mash to actually get through that. To get through all those fish. Alright, we're coming up on the final boss. The final boss is my favorite final boss in the DKC series, as far as the speedrun goes, because there is a ton of execution in this fight. It's pretty incredible. unlike, say, if you play DKC 2, where most of the boss fights are just glorified auto-scrollers, there is a ton of speed tech in this particular boss fight. It's a great final boss. So now for the rest of the fight, we're going to want Dixie in the lead, and if you ever lose Dixie, you're just sunk. Blah, 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 blah. I know, we trashed Chaos, and you used your best pots and pans to make him, so now your wife is going to kill you. By the way, K. Rool apparently has a wife. So now, in order to defeat K. Rool and rescue Donkey and Diddy, we need to hit him with 9 barrels. Cool, I got the cycle skip there. That saves about 6 seconds, because what determines K. Rool moving to his vulnerable phase from this phase is the number of wall bonks, not time. So you can actually save a wall bonk that way. K. Rool hitting his remote there is a great visual indicator on when to jump. Sorry, Stu, I will not be doing Task K. Rool. There's a strat you can do here on this next hit called Task K. Rool, which saves a very small amount of time. That's how optimized this game is getting. We're going to be coming up on time soon. Time is going to be when the bonus coin is collected. And time. Not too happy with that run, though. Okay, cool. So, I'm actually gonna go to my 103 file real quick, and I want to show off some glitches in 1.1. So, Stage 1.1 has Ellie in it, and it's full of silly glitches. Thanks for the GGs, everybody. I traditionally like to show these glitches off whenever I get a PB in this game, but if you've never seen these before, this is pretty funny. As you saw, the speedrun for DKC 3 is actually pretty glitchless. This game has a whole bunch of glitches in it, but they're not terribly useful in a speedrun. Oh, and you'll also get to see 1.1, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in 1.1, but I want to make sure that I don't lose Ellie, so I need to clear out all these enemies first. And make sure not to lose a Kong. So, Ellie the Elephant's kind of broken. So one thing that a good number of people don't know about the game is Dixie can actually ride Kitty like a barrel. This is an intended game mechanic. However, as it turns out, Kitty Kong is really, really strong. Also, you're not supposed to be able to do that. You're definitely not supposed to be able to get Ellie over to this side of the level. And the developers obviously didn't test this, so there's some silly stuff you can do with Ellie back here. Okay, so the reason why this happens is the rope that you can grab onto there is positioned just so that if you jump onto Ellie's back, the game will try to put you both on the rope and on Ellie's back on the exact same frame, and the game tries to do both, and then this happens. Yeah, that's a thing you can do too. There's also one other thing you can do. What's a wall? And then there's one more little thing that we can do with Ellie here. As it turns out, Ellie has ESP, because she can levitate a barrel above her trunk. Alright, so that was fun with Ellie. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for letting me play in the marathon, and Sven and all the other runners, I wish them good luck into getting to SGDQ. Thank you.